We know how much influence Fox News anchors have over Republicans, especially part of the MAGA crowd. How much influence does MSNBC anchors have over Democrats, specifically Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema?
You know, typically I would say they have a lot of influence. These two senators, these two holdouts, Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema, I think a lot less, particularly in the case of Manchin, who, as you noted in your previous segment, won in a state that voted for Trump by 40 points. I don't think he cares particularly what hosts on MSNBC say about him. Kristen Sinema has been getting less of a break than Joe Manchin from these hosts at MSNBC, as you saw in that clip in which Chris Hayes was criticizing her. I was also watching MSNBC earlier today, and Michelle Goldberg, who's a New York Times opinion columnist, called Sinema the real villain of this entire saga. So they're clearly getting, a lot of criticism from MSNBC hosts. I think they probably care more about what voters think. And it's certainly Kristen Sinema is getting a lot of criticism from voters in her state as well. They've been protesting outside of her house all summer. So it's kind of unclear what would.
How much influence does MSNBC, if they don't have much influence over Sinema and Manchin, how much influence do they have over the far progressive left to tell them, hey, look, maybe we want to dial this back and just give Joe Biden a win?
I think they probably have a decent amount of clout there. I would say nowhere near as much as Fox News does over Republicans. When you look at the leadership of the Republican Party and the amount of time that those senators and congressmen spend on Fox News, I think it outweighs how much you see, Eric Swalwell on MSNBC. Nancy Pelosi, for example, is only really going on Rachel Maddow's show when she has a real news update to give. She's not on every night pushing sort of an agenda. So I don't think they have as much sway over the Democratic Party as Fox News does over Republicans. That doesn't mean that Democrats are not listening to people like Rachel Maddow, who has a big sway over the base.
Yeah, over the base, and specifically over the donor class as well, who watch her and listen to her. Speaking of the donor class, we saw this in the Republicans, this split between the base and the donors. This labeling of certain Democrats now as corporate Democrats, moderate is now a dirty word. Are we now seeing that same split play out on the cable airwaves among Democrats between the base and the donors?
I mean, I think we're definitely seeing that split. One of the big angles of Chris Hayes' segment last night was Kristen Sinema's proximity to the donor class. So I think that split's really playing out. But I should also note that Jonathan Chait, who is a writer at New York Magazine and who's by no means a leftist, wrote a piece that published today that accused centrists like Sinema of being the ones that are being inflexible here and refusing to negotiate. So I don't think it's just sort of leftists that are criticizing centrists like Manchin and Sinema. It's also sort of center-left members of the Democrat pundit class. So I really feel like Sinema and Manchin are sort of alone in their objections here. That said, they are getting some praise from conservative media, whether it's the Wall Street Journal opinion pages, Fox News hosts, the National Review. So they're not entirely alone in the media.
Yeah, I've also heard, at least anecdotally, that they perhaps are not immune from trying to raise money from moderate Republicans either. So you have to wonder how much that plays into it as well. Hey, Aiden, awesome conversation. There's a reason we have you, and we appreciate it.
Thanks, Leland.
All right. YouTube is trying to